Maui Live. Thank you for watching All Good Things and All Good Time. My name is Craig Hamilton Bradley. In case I run for president. And this is the god-awful news, the god-awful truth. Daily news, because if you think the news sucks today, just wait a day. Tomorrow, it's going to be twice as bad. I know, it's hard to believe that it could be twice as bad tomorrow, but today's news is twice as bad as yesterday's, and it's been going on like that. And I think for the next 1,400 days, that's going to be how it goes. Aloha. Good to see you again. All right, so at the end of this program, I think, or at some point along the way, I'm going to play 12 minutes of the answer to the question is, how the hell did we get here? Okay? I could try to explain it in my own words, but this is just two of the purest journalists having a conversation about pure journalism. It explains if in fact the elections were rigged, how they were rigged, which seemed to have played out, and who was behind it all, and all that. It's when ProPublica and Democracy Now! Meet for a discussion about something I've mentioned before. You've seen the word maybe if you watch my time, Ziklag. Anyway, no one knows what Ziklag is per se. I mean, maybe a few, if those who watch, who are fans of Amy Goodman, this amazing woman on Democracy Now! Anyway, so that's coming later. It's 12 minutes long, and so if you're curious, I mean, and God damn, it's haunting. It's the thing I've watched that haunts me the most, because it rang so true. It predicted the future. It told us what was happening, how it was happening, who was doing it. While we know about the Heritage Foundation and Project 2025 and the Claremont Institute and the Federalist Society, there is this overall game plan, Ziklag. Anyway, if you really listen, it's just like, oh man. Anyway, so, but that's that. I'll put that at the end. Okay, so let's get down to the news. It's Saturday, should be a slow news day, but of course it isn't, and it won't be. And even if they are less effective at producing new chaos, the previous chaos is ongoing chaos that creates fires everywhere to be put out. It's just Europeans coming here on vacation are getting locked up by fucking ICE detention. I mean, we are the shittiest country in the world right now. We are just locking up anyone who isn't, who can't prove they're from here, and just with no due process, right? ICE has this ability to just disappear people. I think those laws need to be changed. My God, is it haunting. So there's a couple weird dates. August 2nd. That's the day, August 2nd. Everyone's gearing up. Beginning of April, that's when the tariffs are really going to be going into effect, and then we're all just going to be rich. All the unemployed people who are being put out on the street, lost their job, going to lose their house, maybe their car, maybe their wife, their dog. Holy shit. So that's the April 2nd big day that all these weird right-wingers keep talking about. And then there's the something I've been talking about since the day this piece of shit traitor was elected, and that's his desire for martial law. If you watch YouTube videos, there's that guy Kyle Kalinske. He just did a story about him sniffing out. I love all these journalists. They do all the hard work. April 20th, which I didn't realize 420 is Hitler's birthday. Holy shit. So, 420, which would be a day that there'll be extra chaos in the streets, people protesting, people smoking weed, celebrating weed, and then they're going to need to crack down on that. And there's conjecture that martial law is going to come before a military parade. I thought we would have military parades before we had martial law. But that's just going to be interesting and weird. And then, of course, then we're going to have freaking soldiers, troops in the streets of America. Um, while they're detaining people, shipping them, disappearing them, sending them to freaking sick labor camps in countries that aren't even theirs. I mean, that is just the worst. Oh, and then of course I've reported on it already, but the professional soccer player that was detained and sent to hell, just the worst human rights violation. These people, these Republicans, literally should end up in jail at The Hague for human rights violations for causing immeasurable pain and suffering to large numbers of people. Fellow Bradley stopping by to show some love. Sweet. You know, we come from a long line of warriors. I've been saying that for years, and then I found out it's true. And Netflix does a whole show about our ancestor, the warrior, Uhtred the Bold. The Lost Kingdom is about a Bradley before we had last names. And that's why the first Bradley was named Uhtred Bradley. The first male to the first, the parents who weren't named Bradley, who decided that's going to be the family name, they named the first Bradley Uhtred Bradley, because either like one of Uhtred's brothers' kids are who we are, or it's called the Last Kingdom. It's really good, but they screw it up because the Lost Kingdom. They screw it up because they don't tell history just accurately. They take it like 200 years, because he lived like around year 1000, or no, he lived, I don't know what year he lived, but he didn't live, I forget when. Anyway, he was murdered by King Canute, who unified England after he murdered him. He lured him into in real life, he never lost a battle. He was this virtuous guy. Everyone looked up to him, the leader of Northumbria, and with his honor, he showed up with no weapons like he was supposed to for a meeting with King Canute. And King Canute showed up with weapons and slaughtered him. Anyway, that happened at a different time. Like Alfred the Great, who's in this show, is not alive at the time. Uhtred is alive. Anyway, I just wish they'd do it accurately. I just wish they'd do these shows accurately so that, when you're watching TV, when you're watching a movie, you're getting real history. Like that just be the greatest way to learn history. You know what I mean? I mean, especially like when it's already good enough. Anyway, that's why I think these stories, I have these family history stories, like Hannah Dustin, man, captured by Native Americans, her baby slaughtered in front of her. She ends up killing everybody that freaking captures her, scalping them because she can get paid for it, taking a canoe back to Haverhill, Massachusetts, and becomes the first woman in America to have a statue built in her honor, and then a second woman in America to have a statue. The first two statues were of her. Anyway, that would make a good movie, and it would just be the truth, and it would, be very provocative because of all the killing. But it was 1694, you know what I mean? Anyway. There's plenty of great stories. And then the story of my great-grandfather. He survived 26 attempts on his life by a guy who murdered 17 people, ended up going to jail for murdering the governor of Idaho, Harry Orchard. That'd be a great story. Harry Orchard killed 70 people. Just do the story of his life. Anyway, if I ever, can organize the resources to make movies and write books, I have a dream of going back to school, at the school where all my ancestors went, UC Berkeley, and trying to, maybe I could get like a master's and like a PhD for doing the shit I would want to do already, write the book, write the story, write the screenplay, publish it, right? I think that's how you get your PhD, you publish something, right? Anyway, okay, sorry, I got distracted. Let's see, what are some of the things? So we're already at war now, according to the dipshit, the Russian asset in the White House. We're at war with Venezuela, right? We've declared it, right? And that's how we rationalize sending innocent people to El Salvador, to a labor camp, dehumanizing them in the worst possible way, scaring the shit. They're so traumatized. Holy shit, I'm traumatized. I told you I had a freaking nightmare yesterday, thinking I was getting locked up in El Salvador in prison. It seemed real. Anyway, We're gonna have just more and more mass protests for 150 different things. They're gonna start wanting to hurt us because that's just like, you hear it every day in these sick and twisted asshole Republicans mindsets about how they needed to punish those Black Lives Matter protesters. Oh yeah, that same bad energy that they've been directing at oh well, the what about them? What about it's so obviously transparent when they're so stupid. They just, what about them? What about them? Trying to deflect from the fact that they're violent assholes that were hoping to murder cop killers who freaking just desecrated our sacred capital, smearing their shit on the walls. I mean, and now they're all out on the streets while we're deeming the vandals who spray paint a Tesla domestic terrorists, right? So, thank you for that. So yeah, and then are we gonna do like Argentina? Are we gonna just push people out of the plane on the way to El Salvador, or are we gonna have death squads like previous countries like Duterte, who's finally going to The Hague, where the guys in office should all belong. You got to wonder with all these town squares, what's just remarkable is how insolent and how rude and condescending all these Republicans are in their freaking town halls. They're so aloof and such assholes, right? They just like talking down to their constituents, as if they're just all, yeah, you must all be paid for by George Soros. No, a lot of these people never voted before and they're about to. And a lot of them are Republicans who are like, oh shit, I just realized I voted like a fool. As their veterans benefits have been destroyed, their Social Security is in the process of getting destroyed. Maybe they just lost their job, or their mom or their sister did. I mean, it's just, it's so bad. It's so bad. The money being taken away from the bare food necessities for the starving children and families in our country so that we can try to push some money up to the billionaires. And everybody knows it, right? Even the dumb shit Republicans, I think, know this, right? And so they're kind of waking up, becoming less dumb shit all the time. Used to have protest. Oh, sweet. Yeah, somebody said how much you getting paid, right? Because these people are freaking so lost. They're so far from common sense, so they have no clue. They have no idea what critical thinking is. Oh my God, it's so sad. Like I mentioned, I'm curious. I'll watch real journalism, and then I'll say, I wonder what they're saying over there in that sick echo chamber, and then I'll listen to Fox News and be like, oh my God, they just went through nothing they said was real for an hour. And it was all this weird divisive shit that just is totally unnecessary. Like, there's no need for this other side. There isn't two sides to this story. There's some psycho weirdos trying to create lies to sell to people, all based on fear. And then there's everyone else who's like, what the fuck who are you people? What are you talking about? That don't check out, ever. Anything you ever say. It's so weird. Anyway, God bless America. If there is a God, we'll find out, I suppose. Hopefully not sooner than later. All right, let's get back on it. Okay, so, yeah, Republicans are just hiding. But they're also not capitulating, and they're not going to start voting for anything that makes sense. They're still just bought and paid for, and just showing, oh God, they're just awful people. And I think people are getting a clue about that. Finally, maybe. I don't know, I'm hoping. How about the victim? We're the victim. I've said this before, I like going out in my community where everybody's not white and just telling somebody who's not white, hey, have you heard? The Republicans think that they're the ones, the white people are saying they're the ones being discriminated against. Can you believe it? No. They say, no, it's not true. And I'm like, yeah, it's true. I swear to God. Yeah, these poor victims, it's just like the Christians saying everyone's trying to attack their Christianity. It's just so weak. It's so wrong. It's such a joke. But it's all about trying to create walls between the people that you're trying to make dependent on your beliefs and everybody else. Build walls around them so they don't listen to nobody else, right? It's how you destroy critical thinking, right? And that's how you know you can't believe somebody. You have to suspect somebody for not being honest. If they're any professor, religious leader, military leader, political leader that makes you more dependent on them for the answers, is fucked up. is a con man, is a problem, and you need to be encouraged, right? Like a good apprentice relationship with, say, a journeyman master. The apprentice is ultimately made independent. He learns everything he can learn from his teacher, and then he moves on in life. That's what a good leader, politician, religious leader, whatever, every kind of good leader is like that, not the opposite. And all you see is just people, oh, tell me what to think, tell me what all the answers are. Whether it's your religious organization or your political organization or military, whatever. Anyway, all right, Christians, oh, it's us, we're the ones being persecuted. That's such a joke. Oh my God. And that's the whole victim mindset of the Republican Party. Oh, everyone's after us. Oh my God. Oh, you know, one of the greatest things I ever saw, I was so proud when I saw the Black Lives Matter Plaza in Washington, and now they've just destroyed that. And a bunch of ashamed girls, they used to identify as Proud Boys. That's the gayest name you could ever have, isn't it? But they now go by Ashamed Girls, and there were a whole bunch of ashamed girls in what used to be Black Lives Matter Square yelling Proud Boys Plaza. That hurts. That really hurts. Talk about wanting to throw up watching TV. That's some shitty news, I tell you what. Boy, this fucking rich asshole Lutnick is sure insolent, and what a prick. I haven't seen that. No, I haven't seen that. Is he on ketamine? Like, is he gonna die like the Friends star pretty soon because he just relaxes to death? Like, ketamine just doesn't seem like it's a smart recreational drug. There's only one. It's not even a drug. It's just medicine, and that's cannabis. Oh my God. It's gnarly, man. And he's getting older, and he don't work out. His body looks like shit. And yeah, not to mention, he feels terrible all the time because he actually wants to be liked, and everybody hates Elon, and they're not gonna come back around. It's not like he's gonna win anybody back ever. Entire countries, entire continents hate him. Sorry for using that word. It's like the worst word in the English language. Australia hates him. You see that? It was the cover of my thing, but you might have seen that woman doing that don't buy a Tesla the size of like 20 football fields on the beach with her car. It's amazing, and it was so perfect. It was like a computer had to have been the driving force of that because it's so perfect. But that's Australia, and there's Canada. Are they going to buy any more Teslas? I don't think so. National pride in Canada has to do with never buying a Tesla ever again. Good job. That's a good marketing plan. And then I'm going to look into that. And then Mexico, okay, that's going to be one of the new wars. Okay, we're going to declare war on Panama, and then Mexico, and if we have to, Greenland, and apparently we're going to try to take Canada, which there's even some politicians, some bought and paid for Republican politicians that are saying, oh, I can't abide by that, but I can abide by taking over Panama and Greenland. It's like, what the? Shut up. Holy crap. God, these guys are so sick. And anyway, so yeah, okay, so that's what's going on there. Yeah, so Lutnick, what a piece of shit he is. What did he say? He said, my grandma's Social Security could get stopped, and you know what? She wouldn't even complain. What the fuck was that? I don't know. Now they want to privatize mail. They want to make that mail for profit only. Look, I don't care if the post office makes no money or if they lose a little bit of money. If they deliver the mail, that's what America wants. We want our mail delivered by people we trust. at a good price. And if they lose money, if our taxpayer dollars have to go to making sure we can get mail to each other at a reasonable price, hallelujah. I want to lose money at the post office. And I am speaking for all America, okay? We love it when the post office is losing money if our mail is showing up and it only costs, whatever, 40, 50 cents to get it there, right? Or you gotta love that priority mail, $5 packages. I mean, come on, that's great. So thank you, post office. Keep up the good work. Sorry you're under such duress from these dipshits. And goddamn, it's just another piece of shit, terrible news. They're about to destroy the post office, in addition to the Department of Education and the Environmental Protection Agency and the Social Security and oh yeah, catch you on a rebound. Okay, aloha. So there was one really. This is insightful, I think. Trump was talking about a lot of people covered this. Trump was talking about how stupid he is when he talked to his son, and he said, I turn off his computer and then he turns it back on. I don't know how he did it. Anyway, a lot of people latched onto that. But what nobody latched onto was the part where Barron said, "None of your business, Dad." Okay? And look, here's the real deal. Obviously, Barron Trump has spent very little time with his father growing up. He spent all his time with his mother. His mother spends no time with his father. She sleeps in a separate house, let alone bedroom. She coddled him and then sent him off to boarding schools. And but he's never spent any time with his dad, right? So, and his mom has this energy that whatever she's doing is none of Donald Trump's business, right? When he says none of your business, he was expressing his mother's energy also, because that's all that he has in him is his mother's energy. He has none of his father's energy. And I guess apparently he's getting really, he might just be super fucked up if he likes this Andrew Tate guy, which apparently the ladies from I've Had It talked about. And if that's true, man, I mean, he is super messed up. And that whole male chauvinist pig sphere, the Andrew Tate and all his friends sphere, who have platforms that people watch. Anyway, that's what I wanted to do. I'll bring it up next time. I want to get a picture of Andrew Tate. Because, wouldn't it be great? I was thinking this would be so fun to walk around with a picture of him and say, gay or not gay? And see how many people can say, that guy looks gay as hell. Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with being gay. But if you're somebody who pretends to be masculine and hates and perpetrates hate towards the LGBT, then we need to hit you in the kneecaps. Anyway, so yeah, nobody picked up on the what his mother always says to his father, which is none of your business. Right? Oh my God, how many affairs did she have? She hasn't, in the Stormy Daniels trial, it was revealed that he told her they don't sleep together at all anymore, not in the same bed. So that was 20 years ago. And he's famous for cheating on her ever since. So I don't think that helped. Anyway, okay. The measles. Holy shit, measles are spreading like crazy. Of course, we have put incompetent people in positions of responsibility, and that doesn't help. Just like when the pandemic happened under the incompetent President Donald Trump. And it killed 500,000 people. We now have almost 300 cases of the measles in the state of Texas, where dumb-ass Republicans, oh my God, in Idaho, this guy's being pushed out of the GOP there because he won't just blind faith say, I'm going to sign up for everything that you guys want to believe in, which includes, beliefs against mask wearing and against vaccinations. Okay, same kind of dumb shit mindset in Texas among these Republicans. And so what you got is 95% of all the people getting the measles weren't vaccinated, of course, right? Because they don't believe in it. Because Republicans are teaching them how to commit suicide. Because it's all about dividing them. Can't have people on the same page. Can't have them following science. If you never drove through Utah, holy shit. One of the most disgusting things you'll ever see are these billboards that are afraid of science, right? It shows evolution and then a big old circle with a line through it. Don't believe in evolution. Believe in our superstitions. Holy shit. You know, religion could do so much better if it just appealed to any amount of common sense. Holy shit. Anyway, yeah, so that's what's going on. Let's see. Betting sites, if you haven't heard this. And first of all, of course, you've heard me recommend you not to gamble. That's a good way to ruin your life if you want to become suicidal. It's a great way to get down to that road. And, you know, if you become suicidal, you're just like a hair away from homicidal too. So we don't want that. So don't gamble. But there's these cases of these people doing stupid online betting, right? MGM, and then they win 400 grand, this one guy. And what do? They just cancel. Oh, they say, no, we didn't calculate the odds right. Now that you won, so we're going to cancel your bet. And this has happened more than once. But it's just evil. Of course, our evil Supreme Court, Republican Supreme Court, right, enabled their billionaire friends to push gambling down your throat with every sport now, right? And the NFL is making money on destroying your lives, advertising for it in between plays. Not only when you pump gas, you got fucking the lottery right there, the gambling shoved down your throat. You watch sports shoved down your throat. It's just everywhere, right? You don't have to go to a casino to become a gambling freak. All you gotta do is go get gas and turn on TV, or go to a sports event where they say, get this QR code and you can bet on every play of the game, right? It's really bad, and it's motivated by people at the top that want to just fleece everybody. It's so easy with gambling, and yeah, it's not good for you. If you don't like your life, if you want to ruin it, gamble. If you want to give your money away, give it to your family members or your friends. Don't give it to MGM. My God. Holy shit, here's some crazy news. 500,000 people in our country, 500,000 of them, who are all working. Like, I bet you 99% of these people who aren't children or elderly are working, doing jobs like driving trucks, truck drivers, right? Janitors, dishwashers, cooks, home builders, you name it. All the real work that we actually celebrated during the pandemic. Of course, to Republicans, it was just pushing people out to the front lines that might die to serve them. They didn't really care. Anyway, 500,000 people who were given protected status, escaping violence in their countries, in Venezuela, in Cuba, in Nicaragua, and in Haiti. And these people are the hardest working people ever. And if you think they're not good for our country or our economy, boy, I think we're about to wake the heck up. And that's going to create another layer of chaos from another thing that causes the chaos, which is a whole bunch of people not showing up to work in the next 2 to 3 weeks. They might work 3 more weeks to try to earn as much money as they can before they either fly back to here, there, go to the hills, try to sneak over into Canada or Mexico. God knows what you would do to avoid being detained by our evil secret police that are just going around detaining people with no due process, putting them in prisons. They call them detention centers. No, these are prisons where people are dehumanized, treated like shit with no due process. It's It's so offensive. It makes us Americans so angry. And it's pissing, and of course it makes other countries very angry too when you take their wonderful, law-abiding, perfect citizens who are doing all the right things in life, but they make the mistake of coming over or trying to leave the United States or trying to come into the United States, and then it's like, oh, nope, we got to put you in jail now for 2, 3, 4, 6 weeks, and no one's going to know, and no one's going to be able to contact you, and oh, God, it's just, it is awful. So that's going to create its own special brand of chaos, because that's the point. This is how we get to, we have to declare a national emergency, right? And then martial law, the Insurrection Act or whatever, martial law. That's what Trump was just dying to do to try to subvert the elections last time, right? And then if they could just stay, if we can just stay at war, then in 2026, there's no need for elections. We can't have elections because we're at war. You know, we're at war with Mexico, Greenland, Panama, maybe Canada. Who else might we drum up a war with? Or Taiwan. Taiwan's gonna get freaking invaded by China now that we have a weak con man for a president. We'll take a bribe from Xi Jinping to murder these people. It's just, oh God, it's terrible news is what it is. Terrible news. That's what we got going on here. Shit. I feel like I should start drinking whiskey. I'm drinking it pretty slowly though. I had this about a week now, barely put a dent in it, you know. I am a one-drink alcoholic. I often am reminded of the lady in the local news. You probably had one too where you live. The 108-year-old lady drinks a little bit of whiskey every day. One ounce of whiskey, sometimes with a little bit of honey and lemon, you know, which they say is medicine. That's the old school medicine. Anyway, notice though, fine Canadian whiskey. It's the only product I know comes from Canada. They didn't have, I think, Canadian Club, they didn't have that. They didn't have Moosehead. I'm pretty sure those are two others, but anyway. I'm sorry, Canada. Canadians, it's in our local news. They're not coming to Hawaii. We're getting a lot of cancellations. And people who come here on vacation are getting shit from people back home. What are you doing going to America? Asshole, that's unpatriotic, right? Oh, God. It's amazing how quickly everyone doesn't like us because Donald Trump is such a reprehensible. And what's great is other countries aren't brainwashed and stupid like all these Republicans. 4,073 piece of shit state elected Republicans. 220 piece of shit House of Representatives voted at the federal level. 53 piece of shit senators. Donald Trump is vice president, all the cabinets, 6 Supreme Court justices, just bribe, obviously corrupt, ignorant, stupid, criminal. And everyone in the world can look and go, oh yeah, that's obvious. And everyone in our country can say, oh, that's obvious, except for like this handful of dipshits who, you know, my God. Anyway, it's so sad. I mean, how could anybody be so stupid, right? I mean, that's what most Americans are saying. If you haven't heard the conversation, how could anybody be that fucking stupid? And yet it's like, oh, my mom's husband, or it's my dad, or my brother, or whatever. People are like, it's not just, how could anybody, there's someone like that in my family, holy shit. And we're related? Anyway, the hell you gonna do? Tell you what. So I think we can expect, well, of course, because we've stopped pursuing the most dangerous criminals in our country, the white supremacists, the white inferiorists, the anti-nationalists, the evangelical Luciferian anti-nationalists, right? These devil worshippers say that they're freaking worshiping Jesus, and we all know they're going straight to hell. Again, they have no clue as to who they are. I watched, or I listened to, which is going to be gone soon because Trump's going to try to dismantle it. But I was listening to the last vestiges of NPR, National Public Radio. And there's a bunch of new studies that were just done about plastic and how plastic causes heart failure and heart disease, and all these different studies. China did a very extensive study. We've done studies. They all mixed together, and this gentleman made it clear we should try to put less plastic around and touching our food. So there's that. If I was the king, I don't know why we don't just have glass containers for almost all things that are universal sizes, right? The same style of glass, right? Because glass is washable. In Europe, they take the same Coke bottle and refill it 1,000 times. You don't need to melt glass, form it all over again. You just wash it. And we could have a bunch of standardized size glass containers, 100% of which we recycle by cleaning and refilling. Cleaning and refilling, right? We could put some kind of eco-friendly cap on that bottle, and booyah. We no longer have our food in plastic all the time, or our beverages, and we no longer have to go through such trouble to make new glass from new sand. And I mean, it's just sand turned to glass. It can be turned back into sand. It is totally inert. It is totally healthy. And so, you know, we could get back to glass. All right. And, I saw my first Tesla ad. So Tesla was so proud of never having to make advertisements, right? I just saw my first Tesla ad. Apparently they're getting desperate. And 46,000 Tesla trucks recalled. The most recalled vehicle ever, I guess. And also no one wants to buy one. I can't wait. I was going to look it up, like how much resale values are, because I know they're plummeting, but I'm just going to wait. It won't be long. We'll get some data analyst that breaks it down for us and shows us this decline from like resale value of like a 50% or 40%, 30%, right? It'll go from 40 grand to 30 grand, 20 grand. All of a sudden, you can get a Tesla for 6 grand. Your car might get vandalized, but it's only 6 grand. At some point, it becomes a worthwhile risk of persecution. And you can switch the labels. Mazda makes a car that looks just like it. I think those new Priuses look just like Teslas. So yeah, that's the smart move. If you're poor, wait till they become 6 grand, get one, and change all the shit on it. And yeah, anyway, so that's that. Okay, I'm gonna show you 12 minutes of this. This explains exactly how we got here, all right? And this is an explanation of how we got here before we got here, before it happened, how they were going to fix the election if they did. And of course, we know that they purged 3 million votes from voter rolls, challenging the ballots, right? Which is how the conjecture was. But I can't say it better. This is Amy Goodman with Democracy Now! Interviewing a gentleman from ProPublica, which is some of the purest journalism on both sides. The best journalism, the people who are doing, some of the last people doing real journalism before they all get thrown in jail, persecuted, murdered, disappeared. I suspect some of that just might be coming the way the news gets worse every day. Thank you, Donald Trump. Oh, God. Should I drink a tiny shot of Canadian whiskey? Celebrate our brothers to the north. We love you guys. You are, I've said it before, it's been a contention of mine for a long time. The nicest English-speaking people in the world are Canadians, and you almost always have a good sense of humor, right? It's a beautiful thing. Here, this is funny. I'm gonna tell you a quick story. I've told it before, but this is the most Canadian experience you could possibly have, right? Let me tell you what the most Canadian experience for America that could possibly happen is what happened to me. Because all cool things happen to you when you leave your house. Anyway, I was riding back across the United States, right? And I got into Niagara Falls, and my bike had a problem. So, and then while my bike had a problem, I met this girl on the street, like 16, 17-year-old girl, cute girl. I was a 22-year-old young man at the time, and her dad was a fireman, and she was just a nice person. There was no like love affair between us or anything like that. We were just two people meeting on the street, on the corner, and she said, "Oh, we'll put you up." So she calls her dad. He's like, "Yeah, it's cool." So they take me in, this family, right? But the dad, he's got kids. He doesn't really know me, so he's like, "No offense or anything, but I'm gonna have you stay in the garage," So I was fine with that. Shelter is good. And then of course the daughter was like a trusted kid and said, I think she had a fake ID, and she's like, let's go to this bar, Shooters, and there's another bar next to it, and they were like, you like walk from one to the next, and right behind that was Lakeside Park, famous because Rush made a song called Lakeside Park. This is the hometown of Rush, and so we smoked some weed in Lakeside Park, looking out across the lake at Toronto from behind this bar, Shooters, and I said, go ahead, I'll get a taxi back to the house or whatever. And she left early, and I stayed. And it was one of those times where I stayed after the bar closed down, when everyone gets pushed out on the curb. And I just kind of lingered there, because sometimes some girl says, ooh, I think you're attractive at that moment. It's happened a couple times. And so I was hoping something like that might happen. And it did. This nice Canadian girl, it's like, oh, who are you? And I was like, who are you? And she's like, oh, you want to go to my house? I was like, okay. Anyway, really nice, really nice girl. Her roommates were nice. And then she took me to, if you're an old Canadian, young Canadians don't even know who this is sometimes, but there's this Canadian rocker named Colin James. And every Canadian knows about him that's not too young. And he is a Canadian. Everyone in Canada, nobody in America knows who Colin James is, but everyone in Canada does, okay? So she takes me to a Colin James concert, right? And who, by the way, if you have children and you watch PBS, George Shrinks, the music for George Shrinks was done by Colin James, a cool Canadian show. I would not know as much as I do about butterfly migration if it wasn't for George Shrinks. Anyway, so then we're at the Colin James concert, and the number one pick from the NHL draft, who's now retired and a Hall of Famer, Owen Nolan. Her high school classmate, right? This girl's high school classmate is the number one pick in the draft. And she's like, oh, hey, it's my friend Owen Nolan. This is my friend Craig. This is Owen Nolan. And he's like, oh, good to see you, to the girl. And she worked as a bartender at a bar called the Red Hot Chili Pepper. And also she had two jobs at the Keg. And one of the funniest little jokes ever happened there, because Canadians are funny. I was at the salad bar, and I was getting stuff on my plate, putting some pepperoncinis on there, and the Canadian next to me said to me, oh, that's going to give you a gnarly case of the ring sting, eh? Never heard the word ring sting before, but I knew what he meant, and that was just one of the funniest moments of my life. Anyway, so, all right, so that was my experience in Canada, and if you talk to a Canadian and they hear that story, they will confirm that is the most Canadian story you could ever have. I mean, as a tourist. So, and then we went and visited her parents in Sarnia, or close to it. And then I went across the bridge back into America with an expired driver's license. Was all I had to get back into our country. Right into Port Huron, right there above Detroit. Anyway, all right. Cheers. Go Canada. Oh! All right. So, let's watch. I'm going to hold this on her. Let's watch Amy Goodman. This is how we got here. This is who's doing it. This is, if there is a such thing as the deep state, right? Of course, they project this on everybody else. Everyone else is the deep state, right? No. If there is such thing as a deep state, this is it. You're about to learn all about it. This is how we got here. This is what we need to know about. Okay. All right. Are you ready? Here we go. This is the real deal right here.
With Juan Gonzalez. Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump made headlines this week after suggesting that this year's election could be the last U.S. election if he wins in November. Trump made the comment Friday in Florida at Turning Point Action's Believers Summit.
Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed, it'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm not Christian. I love you. Get out. You gotta get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not gonna have to vote.
For more on who's backing Trump's efforts, we look at a secret organization of wealthy Christians who are working to purge more than 1 million voters from the rolls in battleground states and mobilize Republican voters to back Trump. It's called Ziklag. The news outlets ProPublica and Documented obtained thousands of Ziklag's internal files and found the group has divided its 2024 activities into 3 operations: Steeplechase, which uses churches to get out the vote, and Watchtower, which aims to rally voters around opposition to transgender rights. The third operation, called Checkmate, focused on funding so-called election integrity groups as laid out in this Ziklag member strategy video.
Voter irregularities are rampant across all 50 states, but especially pronounced in the battleground states. Public polling confirms Americans have lost confidence in electoral integrity. With the federal election already in full swing, more must be done to ensure fair elections in the most important republic in the world. That's the purpose behind Operation Checkmate and its practical approaches to both get out the vote and clean electoral rolls through our coalition partners. Through these efforts, we have the opportunity to play a significant role in the upcoming election.
ProPublica reports Ziklag's mission is to take dominion over 7 spheres of public life, which it calls mountains: business, science and technology, family, arts and media, church, education, and government. For more, we continue with Andy Kroll, investigative reporter for ProPublica. His recent piece, Inside Ziklag, the secret organization of wealthy Christians trying to sway the election and change the country. Andy, lay it out for us.
Ziklag is a secretive network of ultra-wealthy Christians, conservative Christians, who have this 2-part goal, 2-part vision for this country. One is to get heavily involved in the 2024 elections in the ways that you just described, mobilizing pastors, knocking people off the voting rolls, demonizing trans people to motivate conservative voters. But then looking toward the 20 and 30-year horizon, Ziklag's goal is nothing less than moving the country toward a state of Christian nationalism, having biblical worldviews, quote-unquote biblical truth, shaping, influencing every part of American culture, those 7 mountains that you described. So this really is, as one expert we quoted in the story told us, a vision for Christian supremacy.
Ziklag mean?
Ziklag, the name, refers to a biblical reference about David taking refuge during his struggle with King Saul. The analogy here, of course, is that the Christians in this group apparently feel that they are under siege and that this group is their refuge, but then the place from which they plan their campaign, their assaults to take back American culture.
In a Ziklag member briefing video that you obtained at ProPublica, one of Ziklag's spiritual advisors, Lance Wallnau, a Christian evangelist and influencer, laid out a plan to deliver swing states by using an anti-transgender message to motivate conservative voters who are exhausted with Trump.
If we can get the left to own their position on LGBTQ, the country's already drifted on the homosexual issue, but on transgenderism, there's a problem, and they know it. They're going to want to talk about Trump is indicted, the guy's a criminal, this and that. They're going to have riots on the street, all the kabuki theater. Meanwhile, if we talk about, it's not about Trump. It's about the parents and their children, and the state is a threat. When you get Governor Newsom or Governor Whitmer or Polis, your top three potential candidates for the future presidency of the United States, other than Kamala. You got these, when they're going to have to stand with their LGBTQ donors.
Right.
And so when they solidify that position, that's where they've gone too far.
So that's Lance Wallnau, a Christian evangelist and influencer. Andy Kroll, if you could talk about him, what he's saying, and who the other leaders of this are.
Lance Wallnau is maybe one of the most important Christian evangelist figures that maybe your audience hasn't heard of. He was one of the earliest Christian right leaders to endorse Donald Trump. We're talking way back in 2015 here. He popularized this notion that Donald Trump was a modern-day Cyrus, a sort of flawed but virtuous leader who would deliver a victory for Christians. And that Cyrus idea really caught on. Was a big reason that evangelicals turned out to such a big degree for Trump in 16, again in 20. Wallnau remains this bridge between the Christian right, Christian nationalism, and Trump world. Wallnau is one of a number of really influential and well-known people that are part of Ziklag. Some members that your audience might have heard of, the Green family, they're the family behind Hobby Lobby. Obviously, they've had a pretty big impact in trying to strike down parts of the Obamacare law back in the Obama presidency. The Uline family have donated to this effort. They are, of course, the billionaire office supply family out of the Midwest. Major political donors to Republicans and to Donald Trump. And then another family is the Waller family, influential in Ziklag. They are the owners of the Jockey Apparel Company, which probably a lot of people have heard of, even if they haven't heard of this family. So you have a number of really wealthy, really influential, conservative Christian families in this group. They have the means to invest not just in political work, but also in this larger cultural transformation plan that Ziklag has really really organized itself around.
I don't know what.
Andy, talk about more in depth these three programs: Checkmate, Steeplechase, and Watchtower.
Yeah, you see an almost sort of wraparound 360-degree approach to influencing the 2024 election in these three groups. So with Steeplechase, you have mobilizing conservative pastors out in America, out in the field, to mobilize their congregations to get them out to vote. And if there's some concern that maybe there's fatigue about Donald Trump in 2024, that maybe conservative Christians won't turn out in the numbers they did in 2016, that's what this program is there for, getting the church as involved as possible. You have this anti-trans operation, as Lance Wallnau says in that video that you just played. They believe that going after trans people, demonizing transgender Americans, transgender healthcare, and quote-unquote deliver swing states. That's what Lance Wallnau himself said. But then this final one I think is honestly perhaps the most interesting, this Operation Checkmate, putting money into mobilizing conservative voters in key counties, not just states, but the counties. So Maricopa County in Arizona, Fulton County in Georgia, the other battleground counties in the country. And then trying to put money into knocking more than 1 million voters off the voting rolls in these states. And you see this in a couple of ways, but what's so interesting is how the Christian right, Christian nationalism is fusing here with the election integrity, or really the election denial movement that grew out of the 2020 election. We didn't have a lot of evidence of that before this reporting on Ziklag, but you see this bridge again between the Christian right and the election deniers in a really big way going into this election.
And how effective can they be in knocking voters off the rolls?
A little bit of money goes a long way when you are trying to get people knocked off the eligibility list for voters. That's what the experts, the political consultants, the folks that know these worlds told us in the reporting for this story. Because Ziklag is putting, say, $800,000 or $1 million into something called Eagle AI, an artificial intelligence software that makes it easier to challenge the eligibility of voters en masse. So you're not doing it one by one, you're doing it by the hundreds, by the thousands. You don't need tens of millions of dollars, the experts told us, to be able to make those challenges and to sort of turbocharge the effort to make voters ineligible. You only need a few $100,000, maybe $1 million. That's what this group, Ziklag, appears to be doing. So it could have an effect. And we're talking about margins again in Georgia, Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin. Margins that are a few thousand, a few tens of thousands of voters.
And Andy, how does the election officials in every state, especially the battleground states, their cooperation with these efforts, what might that turn out in the coming election?
Well, you have two different camps here. You have the election officials in these states and in these counties who are just trying to run a free and fair election. What we've heard from those officials is that these efforts like Eagle AI or the work of the group True the Vote, another quote-unquote election integrity group, these mass challenges to the voter rolls make an already difficult job, an already stressful job, a time-consuming job, even more difficult. It's putting just more stress on the work of these local election officials, the ones who are trying to do a good job. And then you have the officials who have sort of bought into the election integrity claims, who have bought into Donald Trump's election denial for 2020 or 2022 even. And for them, they are in some places encouraging these mass challenges. And so you might see confusion, you might see chaos, you might see voters unaware that they've been removed from the rolls in these kinds of places. So it's just creating either more stress on good officials, or it's creating more chaos with officials who buy into these baseless claims about election fraud.
All right. That is the story. You heard it here. If you didn't know all that, that's the shit. I can't not see that, right? Like, can't not remember, can't not think about it. As this whole pile of shit happened in Washington, how could I not reflect back on that interview, which described exactly what happened and probably how the Republicans, when it seemed impossible because they were so unpopular, did. Of course, they accused everyone else of fixing the election, which put people off their scent. Why didn't we challenge all those ballots? Why didn't we challenge all those? We should have had recounts in every state. That's the one thing. I'm not one to bash Democrats, but I just wish they'd ask for recounts. You know what I mean? Anyway, all right, well, listen. That's all the terrible news today. If you thought the news was bad today, just wait till tomorrow. It's going to be worse. And I'm so sorry, but that's the piece of shit president is going to bring us. It's the only thing we know for sure. And let's hope it doesn't lead us to, a nuclear disaster. But looks like there's a chance we're going to have martial law pretty soon, maybe before we get our first military parade. All right. Let's take a look. Oh, God, I'm ugly. Outside, look. There's the camera. Filming. What is going on right there? All right. So I think I can do 2 live videos at the same time, apparently. This is what I'm learning here. All right. Do no harm, do no crime. Thanks for watching All Good Things and All Good Time. Have a great day. And sorry the news sucks so bad. Tomorrow, unfortunately, it'll be worse, but we'll talk about it, We'll laugh at these fools as best we can while they're destroying everything. And we'll pray that the Republican people who put these people in office become less Republican. Remember, folks, you can't fix ugly, but you can fix Republican. That's my new joke. I figured it out right with you guys. I was like, oh, that's it right there. I can't stop being ugly, but you can stop being a Republican. That's right, folks. And that's the best way to, improve everything about yourself in an instant. All right. Have a great day. Aloha.